Captain Bryon Chamberlain. Him and I have been friends for over 20 years, and he's probably been the busiest guest that I've ever had as a host on the show. He's at least made 5 appearances over the years, and each and every time it's always under arduous conditions to really make something happen.
Push!
Yeah! And in this scenario, we finally got the perfect weather.
Your Uber driver's here.
Bryon, like so many times before, let's get him.
All right, let's make some magic happen.
Oh yeah, the magic is going to happen. I just want it to happen faster than it normally does.
There's a lot of wants out there.
There's a lot of wanting. A lot of wanting and a lot of needing. Fishing this time of year, it's right there at the end of the run for cobia, but the beginning of the run for tarpon and summer redfish season. And when I was running by some of the spots, I just told him, I go, it's just hard to pass these spots by without just taking a peek and looking just to see if a couple of brown bombers are there. Just a little bit behind him. He came off, got it. We're hooked up. Woo!
Strip into baby Cobe.
Like that. You know, this was a great idea while the light is low to try to come out here on the bare sand and see if we couldn't pop a few cobia off the rays before we go inside and start catching reds.
Here's a little guy.
He's not a real big one, but it is a cobia on fly.
That's right.
That's what makes it fun.
Just gotta watch those little spikes on his back because they will get you.
Well, actually, I don't have to watch them, you do.
Yeah.
I don't have to watch them, I'm not taking them off.
They always fight harder when they're out of the water, isn't it?
It's the best part about having a guide as your guest. You don't have to do much. Well, except for this.
Unceremoniously, I wasn't gonna get my hand cut open for that guy.
As you were battling that one, another ray came by with another one.
Okay, well, let's show him how it's done.
Here we go, there's another one out here at 1.
All right.
Short, keep going. Do it again.
I'm gonna play that hand.
It's a bigger one. Definitely a bigger one. Nice. Come on. He sees it. Got it. Woo! Way better. That one might get you in the backing. I don't know, that is a 9 weight. Better fish.
We'll see. Took a minute
Better
to
fish.
talk him into it. Are you gonna do something there, buddy?
He's gonna wait till he comes in the boat and then do something.
Of course. Should I just walk him around like a puppy for a while to kind of wear him down? Now you can see those spines on his back.
Yeah,
those will light you up.
Might get the net out.
He's pinned right in the roof of the mouth. He's not going anywhere.
Swim to me.
Oh, now he sees something.
Yeah. He sees the frying pan.
Yeah, he's a little small for the frying pan.
Doesn't want to go
Come
in
on,
the
you
net.
got this. There we go.
Doesn't want to go in that net. A little bit nicer fish.
Well,
Strong hands.
You made me a believer. There's something about black flies that they love. All right.
Anything dark and opaque that they can see is great. Dark and opaque. Well, we've held him out of the water long enough. We'll put him back in so he can find another customer to hang out with.
Go for it. Careful of those little guys. Sometimes they're worse than the big ones. There's a snake who bit you by now. You are a trusting man to put that with a lip lock.
Nice. I tell you what, when you can see them like this and just sniper them, it doesn't get any better than that.
Having sun and bright blue sky helps.
Yeah.
I know you don't like bright blue sky, but fly fishermen love it.
I know. Love doing it this way, but while we still have some good light, let's go red fishing.
Perfect. I'm looking forward to it.
Tide's changed and it's starting to go out and those fish will start leaking out of those creeks and we can probably catch a few.
All right, I'll change up and go a little lighter on the tackle for those redfish.
Oh yeah. Probably one of the biggest misnomers as the season changes from winter, spring into summer. And I don't mean just summer, I mean the dog days of summer, what we like to call it here in the South, where it's so hot the dogs lay under the porch. They don't even play in the yard. When you get to those days, many anglers believe that the creeks themselves and the back of the creeks have no fish in them. Why would they go in there? I mean, it's not going to be cool in there compared to the outside. But au contraire, there are lots of fish in there because the bait fish, the mullet, all the little butterfish, everything are back in those creeks and they follow them in with the tide. But this particular day we had very, very low water. And the best parts of the creek, well, of course, we had these extraneous, crazy factors like dolphins, tons of little sharks, all the things that you cannot control that make fishing even harder. Well, it looks like there might be a fish up here at your 10:30 going to 11. I'm gonna get up here and push, but the dolphins coming through here really kind of shook these guys up a little bit, Bryon. I don't know how willing they're gonna be after having a 800-pound bully running through here.
Yeah, they were definitely making a ruckus.
3 of them coming down the bank.
Spoken.
Redfish over here where your rod's pointing, probably 10 o'clock. He's sitting on the sand dead
Yeah,
still,
I got
just
him.
turned.
He busted us.
Feels us now.
Dang it.
Of all the guys that step up on the front of my bow of my skiff, I don't know if there's any better than Captain Bryon Chamberlain. That's why he's been on the show so many times. He is what you would call a sniper, especially with the long rod. He's got great eyes, he's got great line control, and he can put a fly out there 90, 100, 110 feet as good as anyone could do it with a casting rod or a spinning rod. And when you see a guy like that who is really in tune with the rhythm of the fish and the season and knows how to present, and you see the struggle, that's when you know it's tough. In fact, I would actually say if Bryon wasn't the guy on the bow today, probably wouldn't even have happened. Probably wouldn't have had a show. One of the things I love about Pasco County, or the Florida Sports Coast to many of you, is the fact that the diversity of species and areas that you can fish there, from the barrier islands to the river, to the creeks, to some of the small keys and reefs. And in this case, a little sand bay that was just holding just tons of redfish. All those reds.
Are you kidding me? I should be getting drilled. Like that.
Yes.
Come on, get me on the reel.
Trying to back off them. That was beautiful. That literally, there had to be like 30, 40 redfish there. maybe even more. Look, they're still coming.
Oh yeah.
Had some killer, absolute killer presentations into that group.
Yeah, there were a lot of refusals though too.
And I couldn't believe it. And then when they spooked on the last kick, I was like, oh, don't tell me. But I think one already had it when we kicked them.
Yeah.
Look at them all coming up from behind us. Holy smokes.
I think this is our spot.
I think I'm just gonna put us down here.
Why not? It's one of those things where you can just sit and wait for them to keep coming.
Yep. Our pole going down. Didn't have to go very far. We're only in a foot of water.
No.
Nice. Super nice.
Little guy.
I gotta believe that it was dropping down to the 6 weight that made it happen.
It didn't hurt.
And he's gonna be wanting to jump out of your hand just as soon as that fly comes out, I can tell you that.
Come on.
He had it too. Little shrimp imitator.
There we go. Got kind of like 3 spots.
Yeah, beautiful.
All right, buddy. Thank you very much for playing. Typical redfish right under the boat.
They all do that. Every one of them does it.
I think it's in their genes. It's like,
We'll just go under this dark spot right here. It's convenient.
yeah.
Well, what do you say you do it again?
Let's do it. Let's find
All right.
them.
If you're, what I'm gonna say, a new person to sight fishing with a fly rod, there are certain things that you can do to help your success. Number one, find either broken bottom that has a lot of sand with a little bit of grass, or find all sand. When you fish these sandy light bottoms that have a little bit of rock and a little bit of checkered grass here and there in them, it is so much easier to be able to see not only the fish in the way they're oriented and what they're looking at, but then you can lay a fly out and you can actually see a lot of these natural colored flies in the water so that you can figure out the intercept point for both of these things to come together and hopefully get an eat.
I'm just gonna let it sit. To our right coming in. You want in that hole, come on.
One's on it.
There we go.
Here we go.
Had to work for him.
He came from the outside.
I think you're right.
He came from the outside. I'll get down and get that one for you.
He didn't like you coming down.
They were all right there on that edge.
Oh yeah.
It's like I could see so many of them just swimming.
Still swimming. They're like, what's up with you, Fred?
Well, when you were waiting on that one group to come off, that one came out over here and I was like, wow, he's tracking that fly. I never saw him eat it, and then all of a sudden when you were trying to change directions, it started taking off. It's funny, you're almost like Ned rig fishing with a fly.
Why not? I've done a lot of pre-positioning flies.
Is that what we call that?
That's what I call it.
Is that the technical term?
Yeah. So basically, you know, they're going through these sand holes all the time and they're spooking on your cast. You know they're gonna go through the sand hole.
Oh yeah.
Throw it in the sand hole and wait.
Beautiful.
All right.
Beautiful.
Another one right in the corner.
Right in the corner. Boy, that is a beautiful little pattern you tied there.
It works.
It works good. Looks just like a shrimp. There he goes. All right, Bryon, I say we continue to do this. This is working.
All right.
This is working.
Don't abandon something that's actually working.
Yeah, the pre-positioning of the fly, definitely key. Finesse fly fishing. Is there such a thing?
Absolutely.
It's starting to sound like it. Starting to sound like we need it to happen that way.
Today we started off with our cobia fishing out off the rays in a little deeper water. And obviously the cobia that were caught today weren't very big, but you got to be ready for a big one. So if you get one that's 30, 40 inches, you better have a rod and a reel setup that'll take care of it. A lot of times your rods are set to cast the weight of the fly. So in this case, I'm using a 9 weight, and these flies have big dumbbell eyes. They're not fun to cast, but you need a rod capable to throw it. So was the rod overkill? Just a little bit, but like I said, I would hate to be undergunned if you get the big one that swim by and you're throwing a 6 or a 7 weight, and then you're in trouble. Plus you wouldn't be able to throw that fly. Reel, just one that has a good saltwater drag on it. Good line capacity in case you do get a big one. You want at least 150 yards of backing, so if he takes you out there, you don't have to worry about losing them being spooled. All right, and then we went after some redfish afterwards. Once the sun got high, it was nice and blue sky out. They were really spooky, so I ended up using a 6 weight for the most part, just because the fish were just ultra touchy today. And a real lightweight fly, something that barely makes a splat in the water. We're fishing pretty shallow, about around 12 to 18 inches. And they were really tough even with the 6 weight. That's about as light of a fly rod that I use in saltwater. And again, you just want to be able to deliver the fly with precision, but also with a real quiet entry. That's really important, especially when the water is super clean like it has been right now. As for a reel, you just need something that holds about 150 yards of backing on the 6 weight, just in case you do get a big snook or something. And a good sealed drag. Actually, I always have my drag kind of really loose, and I just add drag by palming on the rim of the reel. Tends to work out really good. Once you present that fly, keep that rod tip down and get tight to your fly. Watch what the fish are doing, and then respond to what they are telling you. If they're charging the fly, give it a quick pop, pop, pop. If they're kind of milling around, maybe just a slow slide just to get their attention. And at that point, they're gonna tell you the hand that they're gonna deal you.
So many times when I find myself in a foot, 18 inches of water, 2 foot max, but that foot to 18 inches of water, and you're finding numbers of fish, you notice that they're extremely wary. You've got 200 or 300 eyeballs that are looking at you, and you have all these lateral lines, and they're just freaked out about almost anything. As quietly as I can push pole, and that's pretty quietly, I'm very methodical about how I do it, setting the pole softly in the bottom and then leveraging up the pole and pushing just a little bit at a time, trying to creep into a spot where your caster can get that shot. Lots of times when you figure out that there are certain little deeper spots in the flat that they really want to settle in, you can get yourself in position where you can allow the sun to be kind of out in front of you a little bit, where you can still see, but you can't be backlit, and you can power pole down. With that power pole anchor, between the power pole anchor and then letting the boat kind of swing with the wind and get set up, I can take my push pole and I can set it in the bottom and let the rub rail just touch the push pole, and we can be fixed. And then Bryon can sit there and just look for his opportunity to make that cast, and we don't have to move, so there's no pressure wave, there's no sound in the bottom, there's nothing. Dead quiet. And still, it was tough. Right there, Reds. Woo! Sweet.
Like I said, you just have to have them coming to you, not chasing them.
Well, and I think we gained about 6 inches of water, and just 6 inches of water and a foot of water is like 50% more, and that makes a difference.
Oh, I agree.
That makes a big, big difference. Huge difference.
The typical red. Under the boat.
That's where they like it. Not a bad fish.
I think it's mama.
Hey, doing a heck of a job. Had cobia and a couple of redfish.
That one's a little better.
Yeah, that's a nicer fish. Really good looking fish. And that little bit lighter fly made it land a little softer. Switching up to the 6 weight has paid off. Well, it was one of those typical days that you have every once in a while where the day looks so good, yet is so challenging. Big pat on the back to my friend Captain Bryon Chamberlain. He is the sniper of snipers, in my opinion. I don't know of a guy that is more qualified to do something like this when it's really tough. And we caught some fish, but we also lost a lot of fish as well.
Oh, gave me back my fly.
And it was just what I would call fishing. You know, we went fishing. 2 guides, pushing our luck. Just doing things that we like to do, seeing how good we really are. And sometimes those fish will make you feel pretty dang humble.
Wow!